Hey, what's going on? My name is Mike and I'm the creator of Namikopy. If you're here today, you're probably asking yourself, well, what is Namikopy? Namikopy is a card battle game that you design. Now, what does that mean? Well, you're thinking of interesting characters, you're drawing them onto blank cards, and when you have enough cards, then you can play the game. The real focus with Namikopy, though, is creating interesting characters or character design. You're using your mind to think up interesting characters and bring them to life in drawings. And today I'm going to talk about how to go about doing that process to create very interesting cards that you make. The first step, though, let's take a look at the card. The card has a little box up here. That's the PowerPoint box, which I will talk about in a little bit. Then there's the area where you would draw your character right here. And then this little area at the bottom where you would write your character's name. Now, when I speak with kids or adults, the first question I always want you to ask yourself is the character weak or strong? And what do I mean by that? Well, in Namikopy, the point value system goes from 0, which is weak, to 199, which is the highest it can be, or anywhere in between. When you want to think of a character, I think you want to start with figuring out whether it's going to be weak or strong, because that's going to go about really figuring out how your character is going to be designed. So ask yourself, is it weak, is it strong, or somewhere in the middle? Today's example, we'll say we want to make a strong card. I would say, I see a lot of kids, they want to make all their cards 199. Later, it's not going to be the best gameplay if all your cards are 199, the strongest card possible. So try to really vary your cards. Plus, it's fun to make some cards weak, some cards in the middle, all over the place. I actually keep a sheet of all my different cards with their point values. So this way I can see, where all my cards are, located with a value system. So think about if your card is going to be weak, strong, or in the middle. For today's example, we'll say we want to make a strong card. The next question that you have to ask yourself is, well, what is the character? And I always say, is the character an object? Is it a food? Is it an animal? Is it a human? A character can be anything you want it to be. When I think of characters, the first one that comes to mind is SpongeBob SquarePants. And he is a sponge that somebody put a face on, put clothes on, gave personality. They took an object and they made it interesting. And that's what you're doing with Namikopy. You're taking your initial character design and you're adding more detail to really make it interesting and bring it to life. So ask yourself, is it an animal, food, object, person? What is your character? Let's say for this example, you decide you want to make a food character and you choose an apple. So now we have a strong card that's an apple. Well, I've seen kids sometimes just draw an apple, make it 199 points and call it an apple. But what you want to do is you really want to focus on making it more interesting. How can you bring your character to life? How can you show that the character is strong? So maybe for an apple, an example I would say is maybe he's a pirate. I like this example because there's a lot you can do with a pirate. You can put a pirate hat on him, an eye patch, maybe he has a gold tooth, maybe he has a little sword in his hand, maybe he has a little hook hand. Something to make the character interesting, as much as you can do to really make the character interesting looking and bring it out. Also, I would suggest think about the background. When you're drawing your character, what's going on in the background? For our example of a pirate apple, maybe in the background you could have some water, some waves. Maybe you can see part of the boat. Think about how to make your card as interesting as possible. Now, I'm not saying you have to add a background. There's many times I don't add a background. But sometimes adding a background can be very beneficial to making your card more interesting. So think about that too. So now we have an idea of our card is going to be strong. We'll say 166. He's going to be a pirate apple or apple pirate. We're adding a lot of the details to him, like a hat, maybe a hook hand, maybe a gold tooth. And then when you have all these ideas, take your time with the drawing. Really, don't rush it. Take your time, focus on it, add those little details. Make your character as interesting as you possibly can by giving those little details. And take your time with it too. Another thing I suggest when you're drawing is also in the back of your mind, be thinking about a name. You have to name your character. Maybe you keep it as simple as calling it Pirate Apple. Maybe it's a little bit more detailed. Maybe you call him Captain Appleby. I don't know. Maybe you give your character a real name. Maybe his name is Leandro. I don't know. But think about your character's name, because I think that's also a very important aspect to giving your character some personality, some life. When you're done drawing, the next step, I think, is to color it. You don't have to. You can leave it, in pencil or pen and just leave it like that. But I think adding color gives it a lot of personality, a lot of depth. For coloring, I often use markers or colored pencils. It's really up to you what you choose to use. Just again, take your time and go about it. Don't rush it. And by the end, you should have a very cool looking character. We're gonna have an apple. He's 166, he's a pirate. His name is Leandro the Pirate, I don't know, something like that. But that's how you go about thinking about a character. Ask yourself those questions. Start with, is it strong or is it weak? And then go from there. Pick what type of character it is. Is it a food? Is it an animal? Is it an object? Is it a human? And then ask yourself, how can I show this character strong, or how can I show it weak? And add that to your card to make it as interesting as you possibly can. And then when you're finished drawing, use color to give that pop, to really make it come to life. And by the end, you should have a very interesting card. I think for these YouTube videos, I think I'm going to kind of devote each one to sharing one of my cards, talking about the inspiration behind them, how I came up with different ideas to the card, and then also I'll flip it and then see, how can you use this maybe as inspiration to create a similar card. And then I'll post them occasionally, and perhaps this will give you inspiration into coming up with your own cards. But yeah, that's how you go about designing a card. Thank you for watching this video. If you don't have a Namikopy deck, definitely check out www.namikopy.com, where you can purchase a deck. It's 30 blank cards, so you got 30 character designs to come up with. That should keep you busy for a while. Also, check out Namikopy on Instagram, where I share my cards. I also share cards that other people have created. I think this is a good way to really share ideas, which will then maybe inspire you to come up with your own ideas. So you can always, if you come up with a card design, you can always submit it to me, and I'll probably post it on Instagram. But thank you for watching this video, and if you like it, give it a thumbs up, and I will talk to you soon.